my name is Marjorie. If you're new here and this is the first video of mine that you come upon, welcome. If not, long time no see. I haven't made a vlog in a couple of months. It wasn't necessarily a planned thing. I just got into a big creative rut and I feel like I'm just recently starting to get out of it, which is why I busted out my trusty old camera and decided to film a little Sunday vlog. And I know the title of this video is full of trendy keywords. Analog is everywhere this year. And you know what? I'm here for it, and I don't care if it's a trend. I think there are some things a bit weird about it, like the whole analog bag thing, but I'm not here for people saying that it's performative to talk about going analog on the internet or filming yourself doing analog things for social media, because doing this, whether it's for YouTube or short form content, when I'm actually creating something, it feeds me. The problem that I do have is scrolling on my phone, and I think that December especially and January were months where I lost all control on my phone consumption, my social media consumption, I guess. I spent a lot of time on my phone to the point where it made me feel the opposite of creative and curious, because every time I saw content online, I would tell myself I don't have anything new to bring to the table. What I do is not creative enough. I would compare myself a lot, and it made me question my own creativity. It made me question my own curiosity, and it made me feel bad about myself. So I decided to implement some stricter rules in February about my phone usage. So my partner bought a brick a couple of months ago and I'm back to using it religiously, and it made a huge difference already. There are two things that I do. I don't bring my phone in the bedroom anymore, and I brick it at night, and I do this hard mode brick during the weekend where I don't go on my phone at all, or like I unbrick it for about half an hour. It really helped, but it's really easy to fall back into, because last night I unbricked my phone just because, I don't know, it's Saturday night. I brought it in the bedroom. I looked at my phone this morning and for about not even an hour, and it made me feel so anxious. I think that's a relationship that I will have to work on, because I love creating content, but I think that's also a sign that I need to create more and consume less content online, and that's why I'm making this vlog. We're gonna spend Sunday together. I just made my second coffee. I don't have much planned for today. I want to update my media journal with some of the books that I've read and movies that I've watched. That's a thing I'll talk about later, my journal ecosystem, because that's another trend that I've fallen into as a journaling girly, and I want to talk about it. So I bought a carpet. It's pretty, but it's cheap because I have a cat and I didn't want to invest a couple of hundreds of dollars in a rug that I know will get scratched. It's for this area here, so we'll set that up together. And also I have these posters in the back that I've had for 5 years since we moved, and I think it's time for a little change up, but I want to do it with stuff that I already have here, so we'll try to do something about that. So journaling and decorating, those are my two plans for today. But first, I wanted to talk about the books that I've read and the knitting projects that I'm working on. In January, I started the year with a Rebecca Solnit book. She's one of my favorite writers. She's an essayist. She wrote the infamous Men Explain Things to Me book, and she also wrote a lot of other books. I haven't read all of them, but I'm working my way towards all of her books. And I read A Field Guide to Getting Lost. I started it about 10 years ago, went about halfway through and DNF'd it and never went back to it. It's not my favorite one. It was a good time, but I already don't remember a lot from it. But what felt really special was seeing the things that I had underlined in it 10 years ago and how they differed or were the same things that I would underline today. In that sense, that was a great book to start the year with. And then I decided to go back to the library. I have a library card. I go sometimes, but I don't go enough. And that's something I really wanted in 2026. So I went to the library, I took a couple of books, and I read Gabrielle by Anne and Claire Beres. I know there's an English translation. It's kind of a mix between a documentary biography about Gabrielle Buffet-Picabia. It's in the early 1900s in France, and she's this avant-garde woman who decides to be a musician, but then she meets the painter Francis Picabia, and she kind of gives up everything to be his muse, his everything. They get into a very passionate, very codependent, not really codependent, but very like intense relationship. And the book is about how she's basically the brain behind all of these French artists. A lot of name dropping. She is friends with the poet Guillaume Apollinaire. She gets into this kind of love triangle things with her husband and Marcel Duchamp. So it's a really fun book for the art lovers and the history lovers to get a portrait of France at this time, the art scene, how boheme it was, how carefree. And the thing that is also fun about this is that it's written by Gabrielle and Francis' great-granddaughters. So Anne and Claire, they're great-granddaughters, and they never knew either of them, but they kind of wanted to shed the light on this woman, Gabrielle. It's a lot about the men that were in her life, and I think the reason for that, because it could be annoying, but the reason for that is that she, Gabrielle, kind of erased herself a lot from the front of the scene so that she could be the brains, I guess, behind these men. She would connect them together because she knew that Francis Picabia would really get along with Marcel Duchamp, and she kind of was this all-encompassing creator, I guess, of these men. So also, I was saying that it's written by their great-granddaughters, and there are these little intermission, I guess, in the stories where the granddaughters talk to each other about their relationship or lack thereof with their great-grandmothers, and that's very interesting. But a thing that I found annoying is that it's like a couple of times in the book. There are about three to four times where you get to know the granddaughters' voices through the story, and I wished it was more. I wished we heard their reflections a little bit more, because it kind of gave the story a different perspective, which I liked. But yeah, very interesting. A lot about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a muse, to have kids, to give up basically everything for the arts, to support someone with mental health issues, to kind of give up on your own dreams for someone else's dreams. So it's a lot of things, and it was very good. It was very interesting. I read On the Calculation of Volume. This is the French translation, and the cover is absolutely ugly. I think it looks like a low-grade sci-fi book, but the story in itself was really good. I've seen this book around on Book Talk and on Substacks a lot, and the cover caught my eyes, and I was kind of intrigued by the story of this woman, Tara. We don't know why, we don't know how, but she gets stuck on a day. So it's basically Groundhog Day. It's 18th of November that she gets stuck in, and it repeats itself every day, and you basically read about her going through the same day over and over and over again, and what it does to her and to her relationship, how she handles it. It's very observational, and it's beautifully written and it's fun. Even though nothing happens and we're basically stuck with her, it's very rich and I just had a good time, I guess, reading it. I don't really know how to describe it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Piranesi by Susanna Clark. Piranesi, I don't know how to say it in English. Piranesi, because it's kind of the same form of someone living in somewhere strange, kind of, and in a journal form. I was reminiscent of Piranesi a little bit, which is a book that I absolutely love, so that's a good thing. This one is way more camped into reality, but yeah, it was a really good read. Then, as a little palate cleanser, I read In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. It's a textbook romance, but I really do enjoy all of her books. I think they're fun. I think there's chemistries between the characters. It's just a fun time, and when I read a romance like that, that's all I want. I want to enjoy myself. I want to spend a good time. I want to feel what the characters feel, and that worked for that. Currently, I'm reading this by Olga Tokarczuk. You've probably seen it in English. I don't remember the title in English. In French, it's Sur les ossements des morts. It's kind of a thriller, but really it's not a thriller. It's about this old woman in Poland. She lives in a tiny village. She's kind of kooky. She used to be an engineer, but now she's into astrology and nature, and there's these murders going around the village, and she thinks it's animals and nobody believes her. And I really wonder where it's going. I don't know if it's actually going somewhere, but because so far she just is very angry about the killings, and I don't know if they set us up to maybe believe that she did it, or I really don't know. So I'm about 2/3 through, and I can't wait to see where it's going. It's really good. So that's basically all for the books. I'm reading another romance book on the side. It's about 2 bookstores. I just started it, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot now. And I also read a French-Canadian essay about being a garbage man. That was very interesting. And yeah, it's been a really good reading year so far. I mean, we're only in early February, but still quite content with my reading so far. Knitting wise, because I've been in a creative rut, I haven't been knitting a lot. I finished the projects that I was making for other people in the fall, and I started a slipover. It's the Novice Slipover by Petite Knit. I started it last year. I only had the back yoke done and never got around to finishing it. I just frogged it last week and started it again, and because I didn't remember the size I had made it in, it's back on the needles and I'm really enjoying it. It's really like a mindless knitting project, especially once you get to knitting in the rounds, and that's been a really great way to be off my phone. And knitting and reading, that's why I've been reading a lot more already in January than I was at the end of last year. I think it's because I'm not on my phone. And at the beginning of the video, I was talking about breaking my phone, not bringing it in the bedroom. But there's also one other thing that I've been doing that's been really helping me staying off of it. I have this stereo in the living room, and I know it sounds so stupid, like it's not a out of the box idea, but it works for me. So I just put music on my phone and cast it on the stereo, and once it's cast, if I go on my social media, I mean they're blocked, but if I were to go on them, the sound would go through the stereo and that would be really annoying. That's kind of a little way that I've been staying off my phone, so putting on music, and I also try to keep it not around me. Anyways, that was a very long chit chat, and I think we're gonna chat a little bit more later while I journal and talk about my journal ecosystem. But for now, I just want to try the carpet and see how it looks, and then work on these posters because I've got a couple of ideas. So this is what we're working with. It's a 6x9 carpet. Let's unwrap it and see how it looks. Ideally, I would like to be able to put the chairs underneath it, but I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna be big enough. Is it really bad that it doesn't fit all the way under the couch? I think it probably should, but if you're on the internet even a little bit, you've probably seen all about people making their own journal ecosystem. And I think that's a bit in response to the whole not being online thing that's been going on that we talked about earlier. And as someone who likes to journal, I jumped right into this trend. I already had a couple of journals, like my daily writing diary, basically, and a planner, and I had like a journal to do to-do lists and notes and everything. But as far as media journal and commonplace journal goes, it used to be online for me on Notion, basically, and I transferred all of that on paper. I now have a commonplace journal. It's a strategy. I think it's a ACE B6. It's like a weird side. It's between A6 and an A5. So B5. I don't remember. I'll look it up. I separated it in three parts. There's a parts for lists. So basically like books I'm reading, things to do instead of doom scrolling, thrifting wish lists, how to get inspired outside of the internet, basically just a bunch of lists. Then the second part is all quotes. It's a lot of quotes from Substacks that I read, and I try to always make a note under each quote for what it's about. And then the last part is the one that I haven't been using a lot yet, but there's like this monthly wrap up thing. What I've been listening, what I've been reading, what I've been loving, what I've been eating, all that sort of stuff. And then there's also like the research part that is very common to commonplace journals. So I did a spread on, I read On Keeping a Notebook by Joan Didion, the article that she wrote, and then I made a spread about my favorite quotes, and then I added some reflections. So that's what I've been using it for recently. It's still quite new. I started it in January, so I'm still kind of getting used to how I want to work with it. But so far, I've really been enjoying it. The second journal I've started to keep is a media journal, and I went with a small format like this so that it would fit in my Paper Republic leather journal. But I think it's too small for what I'm doing. I'm almost already halfway through. I might switch to a bigger journal once I'm done with this one, or I might do a bunch of smaller one like this. We'll see. But in this one, I've been keeping track of everything I'm reading, watching, everything cultural like theater, podcasts. So far, I documented all the movies I've watched, the books I read, and a play I went to. And that's what I'm gonna do today because I've got some things to log on. There are the 2 books that I talked about earlier in the vlog, and then I've also watched 2 movies. I watched Sinners by Ryan Coogler with to Michael B. Jordan, and yesterday I watched Before Sunrise, and I was really pleasantly surprised by how low-key and dialogue driven it was. I don't know why. I think because a lot of those type of Euro trip movies that we've seen in the past couple of years, they're always so heavy on like one character being sick and dying and hiding things from one another, like meeting and then hiding that you have someone in your life or whatever. You know, there's always something dramatic going on, and it's always these big adventures. And this one, Before Sunrise, it's really just about 2 people meeting and talking for 24 hours and basically falling in love in a very realistic and natural way. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And Sinners was quite a movie that I was not expecting. It was really good. It was very entertaining. A lot of things going on, like a lot, but it made me want to watch all the Best Pictures nominated for the Oscars this year. So I think there's like 6 or 7, and I've only watched Sinners, so I still have Sentimental Values, Frankenstein, Train Dreams, and there's a couple of others. I don't think Sinner would get my vote for Best Pictures, but it was still quite good. We're actually a couple of hours later, as you can probably guess by the change in lighting. And I just wanted to come and close the vlog and maybe talk a little bit more about my ecosystem, because I kind of showed it earlier, but I did not talk about it enough for my liking. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of elements. So this is my trusty Paper Republic journal that I got as a birthday gift this summer from my dad. It hasn't patinaed a lot, to be honest, because I keep it at home. I'm not one to carry it in my purse every day. It is of no use to me to do that, so it stays at home. And I have my commonplace that I talked about. And then, like I said, there's my media journal. And there's also all of these journals. This one was supposed to be a commonplace journal, but I think it's going to be a junk journal. And I haven't made anything in it yet, but that's the plan for it. Then I have the notebook for my personal curriculum, all about the history of fiber arts. And that is still ongoing. If you saw, I made a video about it in, I think, October, and I haven't made a lot of progress, to be honest. And that's totally fine. I decided to make it a year-long thing because I want to dive deep, but I also don't want to be rushed. So I figured that a whole year of learning about the history of fiber art was what suited me best. I also think I might want to make something out of that year, like maybe a zine. It's very like, it's a tiny, tiny like embryo of an idea, but we'll see how that pans out in the next couple of months. I also carry my regular journal. This is a print I just got in a monthly subscription snail mail club. It's called the Lucky Duck Mail Club by a fellow Canadian gal, and I love what she does, and she always adds little cute illustrations for the year of the horse. So that was very fitting. And then this green one here is for social media. My goals for 2026, and I write scripts or ideas, and all of that has its dedicated notebook. That's about it for my journal ecosystem. There's also my planner, but I haven't been using it for the past few weeks, so it's in my reading slash crafty corner. I need to get back to the planning life. I could go get it actually. So here it is. It's a Hobonichi dupe. It's basically the same format, and you have a week spread and then a grid. This is a planner that I use for my personal life because I've got another one for work. And in this one, I usually write like stuff I gotta do when I get home, and I also track my habits and my goals, which is why I really love the grid part of the planner. I think it's very helpful for the way I'm using it. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a next vlog. I don't know if it's going to be a maker's journal, another little cozy vlog like this, or something new entirely. I guess we'll just have to watch to see and maybe subscribe. Bye!